and welcome to the Narrowing Path, Walking the Spiritual Walk. My name is Steve Van Einstein. Thank y'all for joining me again tonight as we do today's daily reading from James Allen's Daily Meditations. This will be fresh to you, fresh to me, meaning that this will be the first time that I hear it or read it right here on this podcast with y'all. So you'll get my genuine response, reactions, observations, and what I relate to about the reading. So it's been a good couple of days. It's been a great month overall with this. And the last couple of days have really been just fantastic. Yesterday's, it ended with cease to speculate about God and find the all-embracing good within thee. That was a extremely important line for me to read, because I continue to argue about these things sometimes in my head. Sometimes I can really get caught up in the day-to-day of things, and it's not really that fun. I'll tell you that much. So it was a good reminder for me to read that yesterday. So here we go. Let's go ahead and we'll do today's reading, which is October 28th from James Allen's Daily Meditations. The pure man knows himself as pure being. He who will not give up his secret lust, his covetousness, his anger, his opinion about this or that, can see nor know nothing. He will remain a dullard in the school of wisdom, though he be accounted learned in the colleges. If a man would find the key of knowledge, let him find himself. Thy sins are not thyself. They are not part of thyself. They are diseases which thou hast come to love. Cease to cling to them, and they will no longer cling to thee. Let them fall away, and thyself shall stand revealed. Thou shalt know thyself as comprehensive vision, invincible principle, immortal life, and eternal good. I'm sorry about that. Purity is extremely simple and needs no argument to support it. That is awesome. I love that last kind of group of lines there. Or that thou shalt know thyself as a comprehensive vision, invincible principle, immortal life, and eternal good. That's some pretty cool things to know yourself by. Those are some desirable characteristics, I'd say, just fantastic. Loved this. Absolutely loved this. So let's go through this. And the opening line was also just when there are these standalone, pretty pointed statements, I enjoy it. As I've said many times on this, it makes it gives me less wiggle room. It gives me less opportunity to manipulate it. So this first line is the pure man knows himself as pure being. It's interesting just the way it's phrased. The pure man knows himself as pure being. So okay. Now this tied in with the rest a little bit from the other reading. Not identifying with our sins, not identifying with our shortcomings, our lusts, our covetousness, anger, opinion. That those are just false idols in our own eyes. Those are just things we cling to for a sense of uniqueness and superiority. So the pure man knows himself as a pure being, knows himself as pure being, not the extra stuff that our ego attaches to. He who will not give up his secret lust, his covetousness, his anger, his opinion about this or that, can see nor know nothing. It's true. I've been this person. I always feel as though I need to remind myself, or maybe just remind anybody, or let anyone know that might be new listening to this, that I've been this person. I've been the person that's I clung to my secret lusts, my covetousness, my angers, my opinions. And you know what it did? Yeah. It kept me from knowing the reality of situations. It kept me from actually living in reality. It kept me from being a part of this world in the most truest and fullest sense of things. So this line really resonates with me because it was my experience, as me written all over it, as they say. And he finishes up the second half of that sentence with, "He will remain a dullard in the school of wisdom, though he be accounted learned in the colleges." There's the familiar phrasing of they're book smart but not street smart, right? It's kind of saying you're educated in school, but not in the realities of life. They're two different schools, I would say. Two different experiences for sure. Remain a dullard in the school of wisdom. That's how I felt. Felt like I just couldn't get it. I couldn't grasp what was being talked about. I couldn't. I was missing something, and I thought I could figure it out just by learning or thinking. I was come to realize now there was a lack of action, lack of follow through, and a grand lack of understanding about what the problem was and perspective. He who will not give it secret lust, covetousness, his anger, his opinion about this or that, nor can see nor know nothing. He will remain a dullard in the school of wisdom, though he be accounted learned in the colleges. We keep ourselves from knowing that true reality, the truth, the good, the spiritual laws of this world by getting in our own ways all the time. If a man would find the key of knowledge, let him find himself. Hmm. That's a tall order, isn't it? If you really want to learn about the world, learn about yourself first. We were talking about this. Was this yesterday? There was a man discovers when it talked about evolving, yeah, evolving outward. Yes. Um we talked about this a little bit yesterday. We search and search and search outside of ourselves for contentment, for peace, for purpose and meaning and everything. When in reality, the place we have to look first and understand and discover where we find that key to knowledge is actually within ourselves. We have to do this self exploration. We have to ask the hard questions. We have to accept the hard answers. We have to take accountability for the realities of this world and the realities of our own lives. So, yes, if a man would find the key of knowledge, let him find himself. These sins are not thyself. This is important because this was one of my biggest shameful beliefs I held on to. We are not our sins. We are not defined by our sins, regardless of what we think or might perceive society to do to us. We are not our sins. Thy sins are not thyself. And when you identify with them, when you make them a part of your character. It's called character defect. That's really not you. That's really not me. That's what I found about my character defects. They're not actually who I am. I'm the person that got scared and created that character defect to defend myself or to try to get what I wanted. Sins are not thyself. They are not any part of thyself. They are diseases which thou hast come to love. Oof, that is a hard one to stomach sometimes, but I've come to believe this wholeheartedly that I loved all my character defects, whether they made me feel really, really high and pleasurable, or angry, or excited, or sad and miserable and self pitying. I loved them all. They let me escape from reality a little bit. I enjoyed that emotional roller coaster, those highs, even though in the moment I would have told you I hated it, but I kept choosing it. That was a hard day when I came to that full acceptance and understanding of the fact that I loved my character defects. Let me tell you, they are diseases which thou hast come to love. Cease to cling to them, and they will no longer cling to thee. We are the one holding on to them. I was the one that was constantly putting myself in situations to use them. I was the one that was constantly using them. I was the one that was setting it up to make myself feel like that was the only course of action. I was involved in all of this because I was clinging to them. I was clinging to my sins. Cease to cling to them, and they will no longer cling to thee. I had to let these things go. I had to let go of my character defects, to let go of my sin, my shortcomings, my self serving behavior. Let them fall away, and thyself shall stand revealed. Isn't that's the thing? There's so much in today about getting to know myself, know who I really am. It didn't, and this and that. And, you know, it's not as difficult as we think, or not as complicated, maybe. Yeah, that's probably a better way to say it. It's not as complicated as we like to make it think. We don't need to read 17,000 books, though I've read many. The reality is, we need to just stop clinging to our character defects. We need to just let these things go. Let go of the old behaviors, as painful as they might be and as scary as it might be, and allow yourself to be present with it. That's the self-discovery we're talking about here. Let them fall away, and thyself shall stand revealed. You're waiting there just to rediscover yourself. You're waiting there. We just keep putting things in the way. We keep putting things over top. We keep delaying the meeting. Thou shalt know, this is the line I loved. Thou shalt know thyself as a comprehensive vision, invincible principle, immortal life, and eternal good. Love all of that. Man, if I got called any one of those at any time in my life once, I would be happy. Pretty good life then. Means I might have done something right along the way. Comprehensive vision, invincible principle, immortal life, and eternal good. Wonderful things. Now, the closing line is purity is extremely simple and needs no argument to support it. One of my favorite things to tell people is if I have to rationalize, justify, minimize, or excuse any of my behaviors, they're usually not the wrong ones. The truth is almost always simple. This line here, I love that. Purity is extremely simple. It needs no argument to support it. I don't need to. The right doing the right thing, I never need to justify. Doing the right thing never needs explanation, which is kind of an amazing thing to think about because I've spent my whole life trying to explain and justify myself. So, but all right. Well, thank y'all for joining me again for October 28th. And we're going to just a couple more days left in October till we hit November. But I'm looking forward to seeing these last few days of this powerhouse of a month. So, thank y'all for joining me for this ride. Until next time. Thanks.